Inconsistency is the only thing in which men are consistent. Horace Smith. We've all had those days when things just feel off before they even really start. Whether it's in your house at the breakfast table or when you get to work, you can just sense that something is off kilter. It's like the people around you have decided to play at half speed. You see it in the missed details, the slow responses, and the general lack of energy or eagerness, which is frustrating for you because you're trying to move things along, but it feels like you're doing it alone while everybody else is just lagging behind. We tend to look at those moments and blame the environment we're in, the workload, or the one that you'll say, especially if you've gotten older, it's the quality of people these days. We treat what's going on around us like it's something that just happens, as if it's out of our control. But what if it's not out of your control? And what if it's just a mirror? We like to pride ourselves on being capable. We take our responsibility seriously, as parents, as managers, or as coworkers. Bottom line, we're people who get things done. But we also have those days where we let things slide. We skip the gym. We avoid returning that phone call. We push that deadline back. And we convince ourselves it's fine because we're stretched thin, or we'll only do it this time. Another thing, we think that our inconsistency is a private matter. It's a small personal moment to get through a busy week. But here's what you're not considering. Your team, your family, and your friends aren't blind. They aren't just watching you. They're reacting to you. When you're inconsistent, you aren't just making a personal choice. You're issuing a permission slip. You're setting the gauge for your environment. And how you show up might be the reason their mindset has shifted to optional. So if the people around you are failing to meet the standard, it's probably because they're matching yours. And we each have to be mindful of how standards, especially our own, actually impacts how things get done when we're part of a group. Whether that's a team at work or your family. We like to think of our personal discipline as the internal things that only we deal with. Like if you don't get a project in on time or skip out on a commitment, it only impacts you. But the more you look at it and acknowledge it, the more you'll realize it's not true. There's a term known as the standards contagion. It's the idea that your behavior isn't just a reflection of you. It becomes the operation manual for everyone else around you. Think of it like what you do or what you accept gives everyone the green light to do the same, often without you realizing it. So when you're inconsistent, you're effectively telling everyone the standard is negotiable. And here's the thing. Most people aren't looking to do the maximum. They're looking for the least level of what's acceptable. They're looking for the lowest level that they can't go below. However, stepping over it yourself, for whatever excuse you deem acceptable, then you've lowered that lowest level for everyone. You're actually degrading the culture of the environment. And this doesn't only apply to people in leadership positions. Our actions impact our peers and our families. Additionally, this also means that you can't complain about the quality of people around you until you look at what your own actions are encouraging. Because once you've lowered that bar, it doesn't just affect the work. It starts to change how people feel when they're with you. Then the other aspect to consider is the psychological component of our impact on those around us. Think about the people that you rely on. What they need from you, more than your talent or your ideas, is your predictability. When you're inconsistent, you're creating this subtle low-level anxiety in them that might never shut off. It's like they're on thin ice and they're wondering if today is the day it finally cracks. It can be exhausting for them. When they can't predict your mood or your performance, they have to use their own mental energy bracing for your variability. then they're no longer just handling their responsibilities. They're managing the space around you, which can be a lot of extra pressure on them. It's like trying to plan for a trip to the beach, not knowing which version of the weather is going to show up. On the other hand, none of us likes to think of ourselves as a stressor. It's easier to think that we're the ones under stress. But if you're the person who's dialed in on Tuesday and checked out by Thursday, you're the source of the tension for those around you. They can't ever settle into a rhythm because you're the glitch in the system. And regardless what your excuse is, to them, you can be an environment they have to survive. And when that tension stays high for too long, it starts to turn into something much more. It's that feeling that someone gets when they realize they've become your buffer. In any group, if someone isn't consistently carrying their share of the load, someone else has to take on the pressure of absorbing that. They have to catch what you let fall. At first, they might do it because, say in the case of your family, they care about you. Or in the case of a coworker, they care that the project gets completed. But after a while, things will start to change. They'll realize they aren't helping you. They're simply enabling your lack of discipline. Then they'll start to feel exploited or taken advantage of, because they're taking care of their responsibilities plus some of yours, just to keep the whole thing from collapsing. It's an invisible role that they never signed up for. And the danger is that they'll rarely tell you how they feel, at least not till it's too late. Basically, they don't want the drama, so they'll just stay quiet. And during that time when they're still helping fix your mess, they'll stop respecting you during that same period. On the other hand, if you're not paying attention, you might actually think everything's fine because everything is still getting done. But most likely, it won't be the responsibility that they're resenting. They'll be resenting the fact that you've created a burden they now have to carry. And eventually, everyone gets tired of carrying things that aren't being carried equally, which is usually when they'll start looking for a way to let go entirely. Now, I understand. Each of us only has so much bandwidth in a day. We have a finite amount of mental energy to spend on our work, our families, and our interests. So to remain in control, we'll generally offload things on the people we're able to rely on. That way, we can stop thinking about that and move on to the next problem. But if you're inconsistent and what you offload never comes back to you or never actually leaves them, it stays there. And they now have to keep checking on it. They now have to ensure it'll get done. And suddenly helping you isn't a relief. It's a double mental load. Then what happens next is usually done in silence. Those around you will start offloading you. They'll stop asking for your input. They'll stop including you on the more important projects. In essence, you'll be put into unofficial timeout, and they'll likely not even tell you because they'll realize it's easier to do it themselves or to get someone else to help instead of dealing with your uncertainty. On the other hand, you might feel like you're still part of the team, but you probably won't realize you've been moved to a backup position. And once you're removed from that inner circle, things are going to start to change. It'll stop being about we and start being about me or us versus you. In all reality, we're all really good, and we find it easy to spot the flaws in everyone else's performance. It's easy to point out their delays or their lack of effort. We'll find ourselves wondering why people can't just get it together, why their performance is not better than it is. But maybe the most important and hardest thing you'll ever do is realizing that you're a main player on that field, that same field where the game you're complaining about is being played. You're on the team, you're wearing the same uniform, and you have a responsibility to not just yourself, but to the others playing the game with you. So if you want a world that's solid, you've got to be the one who's sturdy. Reliability isn't some one-off flashy event. It's just the quiet choice to be the same person on Tuesday as you were on Monday, as well as on Wednesday. It's about deciding that your word isn't a maybe. Then, when you stop being inconsistent and you give everyone around you what they're expecting, that baseline that they can actually rely on, and when you tighten your own standard, guess what? You don't have to say a word. People will just start to sense that the bar has been raised, and they'll start leaning into your strength. So take a look at the people around you. If their input, their urgency, and their respect is lacking, then take an honest look in the mirror, because the standard isn't out there. It's right there in the reflection. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes with me. Until next time, stay sharp, stay grounded, and keep showing up.